It often starts quietly, doesn't it? A man wakes up one morning and notices something he's never thought twice about before just isn't there. What used to be automatic, a sign of life and vitality first thing in the morning, suddenly feels weaker, less reliable, or even gone altogether. At first he brushes it off. Maybe it's just stress or a bad night's sleep. But as the days go on, the pattern stays, and a quiet worry begins to grow. For many men over 60, this is the exact moment they realize that their body is trying to tell them something important. And it's that realization that brings us into today's conversation. Men 60 plus, 3 secret points for rock-hard mornings, health tips. I'll never forget one of my longtime patients, Richard. He was 64 when he came to see me, sitting a little lower in his chair than usual. Richard had always been a confident man, served in the military, built a successful career, raised 2 kids, and even played tennis 3 times a week. But on this day, he looked like he was carrying the weight of the world. He leaned forward, lowered his voice, and told me something that I've heard from thousands of men over the last 30-plus years. "Doc, my mornings just aren't the same anymore." Now, I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and I've dedicated my life to men's health, especially the changes we face after 60. For over 3 decades, I've sat across from men just like Richard, who struggle with these deeply personal, sometimes embarrassing concerns. And I can tell you, with all the experience and compassion in my heart, that losing those strong, automatic morning responses is not just about the body. It affects a man's confidence, his relationships, and even how he sees himself as a man. But here's the truth. This doesn't have to be the new normal. The topic we're diving into today matters because it's not about vanity, it's about quality of life. Those morning signals are more than just biology. They're like nature's daily checkup, telling us how our circulation, hormones, and even our nervous system are working together. When they weaken, it's often a sign that something deeper needs attention. And the good news is, when we listen to these signals and take the right steps, we can restore them, often more naturally and effectively than men realize. Richard told me he felt embarrassed to even bring it up. He worried that maybe he was just too old and that this was the beginning of the end for his energy, his intimacy, and his sense of self. But I explained to him something I want you to hear clearly too. Age does not automatically mean decline. Yes, the body changes, but men over 60 have remarkable potential to reclaim strength, circulation, and vitality when they know where to focus. And that's what I call the secret points, key areas of your health that, when supported properly, can bring back those firm, dependable mornings. Before we dive further, I want to pause for a moment and invite you to be part of this conversation in a way that truly helps us grow together. If what I'm saying resonates with you, if you've noticed changes yourself, or if you've ever wondered whether stronger mornings are even possible after 60, I'd love for you to leave a yes or no in the comments below. I read those answers personally because they help me understand what you're facing and allow me to bring you advice that speaks directly to your life. And if you haven't already, please tap that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you don't miss these conversations. Your support makes a huge difference, not just for me, but for other men who are looking for hope and answers. Now, back to Richard. As we sat together, I asked him about his habits, how he was eating, how much he was moving, whether he was sleeping well. I asked him about stress, about his medications, and about his energy throughout the day. What struck me was that he hadn't connected the dots between the little choices he made and the big changes he was experiencing. He thought his lack of morning strength was isolated, a problem all on its own, when in reality it was his body's way of waving a flag, asking for support in a few very specific areas. I remember leaning back in my chair, smiling at Richard, and saying, "This is not the end of the road. In fact, this is the beginning of us making sure you wake up every morning with the strength you deserve." He looked at me, almost with disbelief, but there was a spark of hope in his eyes. That spark is exactly what I want for you as well.
When men over 60 begin to focus on these hidden, often overlooked points of health, the body responds in powerful ways. Circulation improves, energy rises, confidence comes back, and with that, those strong automatic morning signals often return too. Richard didn't need a miracle or a magic pill. What he needed was guidance, practical steps, and the reassurance that his body was capable of bouncing back. In the weeks that followed, as we made simple, targeted adjustments, Richard began to notice subtle changes. At first, he felt more rested when he woke up. Then his energy during the day seemed steadier. Soon, he started looking forward to mornings again because the strength he thought was gone for good was making its way back. And with it came laughter, lightness, and a confidence that spread into every part of his life. That's the beauty of paying attention to these secret points. When you restore what's lost in one area, the benefits ripple out into everything else. It's not just about physical function, it's about enjoying your mornings, your relationships, and your days with renewed vigor. And that is the heart of why I'm here speaking to you right now.
When Richard returned for his second visit a month later, I could tell before he even sat down that something had shifted. He walked with a little more spring in his step, his shoulders were straighter, and his handshake had that firm confidence I remembered from years before. He smiled as he said, "Doc, I don't know what you did, but I'm starting to feel like myself again." And I reminded him, it wasn't me, it was his body responding to the changes we made. Because here's the truth I've seen time and again, even in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the body has an incredible ability to heal and respond when we give it the right attention. So let's take a closer look at what was happening with Richard, because his story mirrors what countless men in this stage of life go through. When he first came to me, his mornings were flat, his energy unpredictable, and his confidence shaken. Like so many, he thought this was just the price of getting older. But what he didn't realize was that his body was quietly running on empty in a few crucial areas that I call the secret points. The first of these points has everything to do with circulation. Think of your body as a vast network of rivers and streams. When we're younger, those rivers run strong and clear, carrying nutrients and oxygen everywhere they need to go. But as we age, if we're not paying attention, those rivers start to narrow, slow, or even clog. For men, that means the very signals that create strong, natural morning responses can weaken. Not because the desire is gone, but because the body isn't delivering the right flow at the right time. I asked Richard about his daily movement. He admitted that most of his day was spent sitting, at his desk, in his car, or on the couch at home. It's a familiar picture, isn't it? Yet our circulation depends on movement. Every step we take helps push blood back to the heart, strengthens our vessels, and keeps our rivers flowing. So one of the first adjustments I gave Richard was simple. Start walking for at least 20 minutes a day. Not sprinting, not running marathons, just walking at a steady pace, enough to get his heart pumping and his blood moving. At first, he looked at me like I was underselling the problem. Could something that simple really make a difference? But I explained gently that sometimes the simplest changes are the most powerful. Within 2 weeks, Richard noticed that he had more energy during the day, his sleep improved, and those morning signals started to flicker back to life. That's the magic of circulation. It fuels everything. But circulation was only one piece of the puzzle. The second secret point is balance, specifically the balance of hormones that quietly orchestrate how a man feels, thinks, and performs. Testosterone in particular plays a key role in morning vitality. It's not just about intimacy, it's about energy, mood, focus, and even muscle strength. After 60, testosterone naturally declines, but lifestyle factors like stress, poor sleep, and excess weight can push it even lower. Richard confessed that he hadn't been sleeping well for years. He often stayed up late watching television, then tossed and turned with restless thoughts. I explained to him that deep, restorative sleep is when the body produces the most testosterone. If sleep is broken, the body never gets the chance to replenish those levels. So we worked on his sleep routine, setting a consistent bedtime, keeping his room cool and dark, and turning off screens an hour before bed. It wasn't easy at first, but within weeks, Richard noticed he was sleeping more soundly. And wouldn't you know it, his mornings grew stronger in direct proportion. That's because the body thrives on rhythm and recovery. When the hormones that drive vitality are supported, the results show up naturally without forcing or fighting. Now, before I continue, I want to pause again to ask you, personally, to think about what I'm sharing. Do you see yourself in Richard's story? Have you noticed your mornings aren't as strong as they once were, or your energy slipping in ways that make you feel less like yourself? If so, let me know with a simple yes or no in the comments. I read every single one, and your feedback helps me know exactly what topics to bring you next. And if you find this helpful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's such a small step for you, but it makes an enormous difference in helping more men find their way back to strength and vitality. The third secret point I guided Richard toward was something most men overlook entirely: nerve health. You see, those strong morning signals depend not only on blood flow and hormones, but also on clear communication between the brain and the body. If the nerves are sluggish, compressed, or weakened, the message doesn't get through. And the result is mornings that feel flat, even when the other systems are doing their part. Richard had been struggling with lower back stiffness for years, something he thought was unrelated. But as we talked, it became clear that his nerve pathways might have been under strain. I encouraged him to start gentle stretches each morning, focusing on his back and hips to ease the pressure on his lower spine. These stretches didn't just help his flexibility, they improved the signals that traveled down into the pelvic region. After a few weeks, he noticed not only that his back felt better, but that his mornings were noticeably stronger. This was a breakthrough for him because it showed how interconnected everything in the body really is. You don't always need a drastic solution. Sometimes simply caring for your circulation, your balance, and your nerve health is enough to bring back what you thought was lost. Richard's story reminds me that men often underestimate their body's resilience. We think decline is permanent, but more often than not, it's reversible if we tend to the right areas. That's what these secret points are all about. They aren't gimmicks or quick fixes, they're timeless truths about how a man's body works, especially after 60. And what excites me most is that when these areas are strengthened, the ripple effects touch every part of life. Richard told me his wife noticed the difference, not just in their mornings together, but in the way he carried himself, the way he laughed more, the way he seemed lighter and freer. That's the gift of restoring this part of health. It isn't just about one function, it's about reclaiming joy in all its forms.
When Richard came back for his third visit, I could tell he was a changed man. He sat down in the chair with an energy that was undeniable, like someone who had discovered something precious he thought was gone forever. He laughed as he told me, "Doc, I wake up looking forward to the mornings again. I feel like my body is actually on my side now." That joy in his voice was a reminder of why I do what I do, and why I'm sharing this message with you today. Because when men over 60 discover the right points to support their health, mornings transform from a reminder of what's been lost into a symbol of everything that's still possible. You see, restoring those rock-hard mornings isn't just about the physical, it's about dignity, hope, and identity. For so many men, that first moment of the day sets the tone for everything that follows. When it's missing, the whole day can feel like a struggle. But when it returns, it's as if a man has reclaimed his spark. Richard's story shows that this is not out of reach. It's well within grasp, if we take the right steps. One of the most overlooked aspects of this journey is stress. Now, you might wonder what stress has to do with mornings, but the truth is, stress is one of the most powerful disruptors of vitality. When the body is under constant pressure, worrying about finances, health, family, or even the state of the world, it releases hormones like cortisol.
And cortisol, when elevated for too long, suppresses testosterone, disrupts sleep, and tightens blood vessels. It's like throwing a wet blanket over the very systems that create strength in the morning. Richard shared with me that he'd been carrying a lot of hidden stress. Retirement had left him feeling uncertain about his purpose, and he often lay awake at night replaying old worries. Together, we worked on simple practices to calm his mind: deep breathing before bed, gentle stretching, and even jotting down his thoughts in a notebook so they didn't keep circling in his head. He laughed at first, thinking it sounded too simple, but within a few weeks, he noticed his sleep was deeper, his mornings were steadier, and even his mood during the day was brighter. That's how powerful stress relief can be, not just for the mind, but for the body too. And here's another truth I want you to remember. The foods we choose every day play a direct role in these secret points. Richard had always enjoyed his dinners, but his plate was often filled with heavy, processed foods that slowed him down. I encouraged him to make small swaps: more colorful vegetables, lean proteins, and heart-healthy fats like olive oil and nuts. These foods don't just nourish, they improve circulation, support hormone balance, and give the nerves the nutrients they need to stay sharp. One evening he told me he tried salmon for dinner instead of fried takeout, and the next morning he felt more alive than he had in months. That small choice was like fuel for his body's engine. And when those choices add up day after day, the results are undeniable. That's why I tell my patients, and now I tell you, that your fork can be one of the most powerful tools for restoring your mornings. But perhaps the most important part of Richard's journey wasn't just physical, it was emotional. For years, he had carried a quiet shame about his declining mornings, and that shame kept him from opening up, even to his wife. When he finally shared what he was going through, he discovered something remarkable. Instead of judgment, she offered him understanding and support. That conversation brought them closer together, and as his mornings improved, their intimacy deepened in ways they hadn't experienced in years. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not alone in what you're facing. Thousands of men, just like Richard, just like you, are walking this same road, and there is nothing shameful about it. In fact, asking for help, taking action, and investing in your health is one of the most courageous things a man can do. Your strength is not defined by perfection, it's defined by persistence. Before I go further, let me pause to invite you once again into this conversation. If what I've said today is stirring something in you, if you've ever felt the weight of these changes and wondered whether things could be different, I'd like you to let me know in the comments below. Just a simple yes or no. It helps me understand you better, and it gives me the chance to bring you the guidance that truly matters for your life. And if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss these heart-to-heart talks. Believe me, your voice here matters more than you know. As Richard's mornings grew stronger, so did his confidence. He began picking up hobbies again: gardening, biking, even playing a bit of tennis with his old friends. What's fascinating is that the more active he became, the more his body rewarded him with energy and strength. It became a beautiful cycle. Better mornings gave him energy to move, and more movement gave him even stronger mornings. This is why I emphasize that change doesn't have to be overwhelming. It starts small, with 1 or 2 simple shifts, and over time, those shifts compound into transformation. That's exactly what happened with Richard, and it's what I want for every man listening today. Because the truth is, rock-hard mornings after 60 are not only possible, they can become your new normal when you nurture the body in the right ways. And here's the part that excites me most. Richard told me his mornings had become a source of pride again. Instead of dreading the day, he woke up with gratitude and excitement. That spark affected every conversation, every meal, every walk he took. He wasn't just living, he was thriving. And that, to me, is the ultimate goal: to help men not just survive the years after 60, but to embrace them with vitality, confidence, and joy. By the time Richard came in for his 4th checkup, his transformation was so complete that even his wife joined him for the visit, just to say thank you. She told me she had her husband back, not just physically, but in spirit, in laughter, and in love. Richard grinned from ear to ear and said, "Doc, I never thought I'd be waking up like this again at my age."
but here I am, looking forward to every morning. That moment, seeing the pride and relief in both of their eyes, captured everything I hope for every man I've had the privilege of guiding. Because this journey isn't just about strong mornings, it's about reclaiming control, dignity, and the spark of life that makes every day worth living. For men over 60, the loss of that daily signal can feel like a heavy shadow, whispering that the best days are behind them. But I'm here to tell you, with all the experience and conviction of 30+ years, that those whispers are lies. Your body is capable, your strength is still within you, and your mornings can be restored when you focus on the right areas. Richard's story shows us the 3 secret points in action: circulation, hormone balance, and nerve health, all working together to create a ripple effect that changes not just the mornings, but the entire rhythm of life. When blood flows freely, when hormones are supported, and when nerves are firing clearly, the result is not just physical, it's emotional, relational, and spiritual. It's about waking up proud, standing tall, and living with renewed purpose. Now, I want you to imagine your own mornings for a moment. Picture yourself waking up, feeling rested, with energy in your body and strength in your spirit. Imagine starting your day not with frustration or disappointment, but with confidence and gratitude. That reality is closer than you think, and it starts with the choices you make today. Every walk you take, every night of good sleep you protect, every nourishing meal you enjoy, each of these is a step towards stronger mornings and a stronger life. As I speak these words, I know some of you might feel skeptical. You might be thinking, "Doc, that sounds good, but my situation is different. My mornings have been gone for too long." I understand that feeling, and I want you to know that doubt is natural. But I've seen too many men who thought they were too far gone, rediscover their vitality to ever believe it's impossible. Richard was one of them, and now he's living proof that change is possible at any age. This is where your role becomes powerful. You're not just a listener, you're a participant in this journey. If you've connected with what I've shared today, I'd love for you to let me know with a yes or no in the comments below. I read them because they help me understand you better, and because every comment tells another man watching that he isn't alone. And if you found value in this conversation, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so we can continue to walk this path together. When Richard looked at me during that last visit, he said something I'll never forget. "Doc, I thought aging meant I had to give up pieces of myself one by one, but now I see that it doesn't have to be that way." His words struck me because they're true for every man over 60. Aging is not about surrender, it's about adaptation, wisdom, and discovering strength in new ways. The body may change, but its ability to heal and grow remains astonishing. And so I want to leave you with this encouragement. Your mornings can be strong again. Your confidence can return. Your life can still hold joy, intimacy, and vitality beyond what you've imagined. Don't measure yourself against the past. Measure yourself against the choices you make today and the possibilities that still lie ahead. You are not defined by decline. You are defined by resilience, by the courage to take action and the strength to believe in yourself again. So as you wake tomorrow morning, take a deep breath, feel the life within you, and remind yourself, this day is a gift, and you still have the power to shape it. That's what I want for you, and that's why I've shared Richard's story. Because if he could reclaim his mornings, so can you. I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and I want to thank you for sharing this time with me. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below. It truly helps me understand you better and bring you advice that matters. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay hopeful, and never forget, your best mornings can still be ahead of you.